There it is. We are live, April.
We
Woo-hoo.
are here.
Good evening, everybody. Wow, I am so happy. Happy Wednesday. Today's going to be a strong conversation for owners, operators, and leaders, folks. A lot of people are quietly asking a bigger question right now. Do I sell? Do I scale differently? Do I restructure? Or do I start a new chapter? And the wrong move here can cost years or millions, or even in litigation, getting the wrong business in a lot of cases. So tonight is about clarity before motion, right? Figure it out, plan first, do it well, then execute. So before we roll into the intro and get this Power Pack panel on, welcome everyone. We'll put some questions in the chat. So if you want to chime in, definitely do it. It's all about the right room. The Hounds of Business, our live streams, all that we do, our ecosystem as a whole is here for the right room, right? That's how you get things done faster. So no pitch slapping with a P, but hey, comment, talk to one another, get the ball rolling. So April, you are back now real quick. Give us an update on your retreat. I'm so glad you're back. She keeps the room steady and people grounded. And when I say people, I mean me. So quick update, April, on your retreat. What is it? Yeah. Who's it for? And how many spots are left now?
Yes, I'm so excited for this. I can't tell you, Mike, this is something that I've been working with and planning and really cultivating it for those who want to receive more of that pause, right? There's so much noise happening in our lives and in the world, and we get overwhelmed. We tend to just hope that we can take a vacation to get away from it all, but it's more about coming back to you in this retreat. So it's for high-level professionals, it's for entrepreneurs, anyone who is adventurous, because it is in Bali and you got to get there. Yep. And also it's a cultural experience as well. And also we have so many different types of experiences that really helps to shake things up. So that way your nervous system can settle and you return home really a different version of yourself. So if anybody's curious, scan that QR code down there in the corner or DM me directly for more information. We are having a Taste of Bali event this Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If anybody's curious, no pressure. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Because this is not one of those things where people act like they're excited because they're, have an incentive to. They're actually excited. They talk about it months later. So high performers, high achievers, there you go. And we have to say thank you. All right. This conversation is brought to you by Greg Moore, who you'll see in about 30 seconds. And he's the franchise maven. Greg helps growth-minded professionals, future owners make smart decisions around franchise ownership and what their next chapter should look like. All right. So go to franchisemaven.com and stay tuned because he's going to be dropping a lot of nuggets in here. And then also we need to go to and say special thanks to the one and only Beverly Neal Clinton, Serve, Heal, Recover. We got a lot of people in healthcare, and we all know that's got a lot of work to be done in healthcare, but there's people doing it, and Beverly is one of them. So thank you for supporting the show. She's the kind of partner I appreciate. She has heart, mission, real world healthcare impact, all in the same room. So go to servehealrecover.com and thank you for all you do for folks who need it the most, Beverly. So
yeah, and Beverly's also a veteran and her heart and soul is in this.
Yeah, her partner, Tim, both of them military veterans and amazing people. And by the way, I'm going to lose my country street redneck cred because y'all hear this chair? I've been looking for that WD-40. I'm supposed to have it in my pocket. So I'll go look for it. Let's run the intro. And folks, I appreciate you. It's going to be a good one. Don't forget to participate. And if you can't comment, we apologize. There's been a glitch with StreamYard. So please do text me as you all do. Let me know. All right. And we'll get to it on the replay. And all the links here, we'll put everybody's links in the comments right after the show, folks. So let's roll the intro, my friend.
Are you looking to grow your network and your net worth with other high-level, heart-centered professionals? Then grab a seat and your favorite beverage and join Mike Asherbranner, the Redneck Connector. It's time for the Hounds of Business Community Happy Hour.
All right. She done opened up the cattle door. So there they are. All right, everyone. Thank you for the show, to coming to the show. I am super excited. And I forgot that I forgot to shout out Bruce. We'll do that in a little bit. So right now, I want to set the tone. This is not theory. These are high level operators that's going to share how you can gain some clarity, give you some tips, and they have lots of resources after the show, folks. So do me a favor, for folks who may not know you, let's go around the room, give your short intro. Greg Moore, let's start with you, my friend.
Greg Moore, franchise maven. I create entrepreneurs through franchising. People come to me, they don't know which franchise they want to get into. I help them find the correct one. No charge to you for my services. And we work with about 300 different franchises in all sorts of industries.
My friend, you are the best of the best. Greg's the kind of guy, well, everybody here, but Greg's the kind of guy when you refer them, people like you better because you did it. Dadgummit, that's what it's all about. So thank you, Greg, because actually I was shocked. Tiffany, I don't know if I told you this. A lot of folks go and do this on their own or get bad advice, and then they get into litigation. Oh, that's the saddest thing, especially if somebody's using their 401k and stuff. It's just wild. So today's show is going to be amazingly helpful for folks because there's a lot of questions they don't even know to ask, right? So take it away, Tiffany. Tell the folks what you do because it's a lot.
Oh, it's a lot. I'll give you guys like the Twitter version, right? Like, let's see, real estate investor, because that's like my 10,000 hours. Now fund owner. I like to buy paper. I actually like to buy bad paper and help people out of foreclosure. That's kind of like my fun spot, but also what I do for investing. Now super connector, podcaster. And my newest funsy thing that I've gotten into is my newest business partner developed his own quantum computing 25 years ago for complex government projects. So I'm like, bring me anything that you think you wish you could get built because you can't trust your AI, but trust mine. That's a lot of the stuff I'm working on right now.
Wow. I don't know how you condense that like soup. Just wow, good job. And that leads me to John Hamill. We were going out there looking for a professional. I was about to go out there and find a couple more pros that could work in tandem with you folks. And this guy found me on a Substack article I did in August, the only one. And it's funny how it happened. So, John, it's a pleasure being here, man. I can't wait for folks to get to know you. Take it away.
I'm John Hamill. I run an exit planning company, consulting company. I support business owners from the way to prior to exit all the way to after the phase of exit, and mainly just counseling from the emotional side to all the way to the technical side, using some of my investment banking background and wealth management background.
There you go. Let's get the show rolling. Let me ask this question. And April, if you would, put the audience questions in there. I like folks to chime in if they can make comments. And again, folks, if we can't comment, my apologies. Usually we can catch it on the replay. So what are owners most often getting wrong when they start thinking about their next chapter? So John, we'll start with you. What are owners getting wrong when they think about starting this next chapter? Maybe it's an exit, maybe it's a sell, what in general?
It's a great question. I think one of the things I noticed that they kind of get wrong generally is they kind of are underestimating the emotional readiness aspect of the whole process and getting ready to sell. And that can show up a lot, sometimes even the last 11th hour of deals where there's a knee-jerk reaction of I'm just not ready to sell. And that's an attachment, emotional to the business, maybe who am I, etc. So it's usually the emotional side.
Well, Greg, you know all about this. You know all about prevention of, getting somebody prepared and thinking about this, because a lot of folks will say exit. I'm just starting. Hell, I haven't even started. Why would I think about exit? So Greg, from your vantage point of helping people plug into the right system with the right operators, both of you gentlemen are really good at this. So what do you think in general? What do they mostly get wrong before they start thinking about either starting a business or going to a next chapter?
Think about, when I tell my people, think about the skill set that you like using most, that you can use on a daily basis, and it doesn't feel like you're working. Go with that. Stay away from any passion plays. Stay away from things that are sexy or that they're busy right now or they look good. Like Tiffany there. Go with your skill set, because the skill set that you love using on a regular basis, it will never feel like you're working or doing a job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that sounds so simple, but come on, people do. They chase the fads. They do it in the stock market. I mean, we see that. My uncle got 18 billion% rate of return, blah, 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 right? And you're like, slow down, Hoss. So on that note, Tiffany has been there, done that herself, right? Opportunities found her. She helps a lot of folks who are doing this. So from your vantage point, Tiffany, I know it's a blank statement, but what are a lot of folks getting wrong when they think about starting a new chapter or the next chapter in business?
I am coming at this as a wild visionary. So the stuff that's really drilled deep into me, being so many years into real estate investing, because every new house, every new build, every new project is like a whole new chapter in real estate. It's like starting a whole brand new business when you have to do it from start to finish. And then your long term, and then your Airbnb, and then your this, and then of course your side tangents, right? And I feel like what people lack is the vision and the creativity, meaning like fund this creatively. You don't have to bootstrap. Yes, I love self-directed IRAs. Yes, I love getting super crazy and creative, but imagine even an old business that you'd love to go start up, that they would self-fund it for you. Like they could be the bank for you. So the idea of really, really thinking outside the box for everything, because the box that you think that you've defined out when you want to go and start your own business, or you're inside of your own business to exit what that business is like. Someone like John can be like, this is what it's like to exit. Someone like Greg could be like, this is what it's like to create, scale, exit, right? Or being able to see all angles of it. And it's like hanging out and rubbing shoulders with the people that have already been there, done that, but also wildly creative in the essence of just saying, do this so that you're not irreplaceable, because you'll never be able to leave the company, right? And then the systems that need to be in place, but also think of using other people's money, other people's time, so that way you're not just being run into the ground. And yes, do what you love, but sometimes doing something really boring is going to make you a lot of money too.
Right. Well, you're kind of touching on this true readiness to sell, right? And I love this. So let's go in with start with John. John, how does an owner know the difference between being tired and actually being ready to sell, right? Like sometimes they could just be a little burnt out or other things in life.
Yeah.
What do you see in this? I mean, and if you want, go ahead and start with some of the things that people bring to you. Who's burnt out, who's truly ready to go, and who's don't even know, right?
No, that's a really good question, and a lot of business owners, after they do it, they actually end up understanding, looking back. But I would say it's really kind of broken into this thing. What do you really want to do next? Is there something you really want to do next? And if you're looking at the burnout aspect, is it something that is being forced, right? And I would say there's been a lot of instances where the business owner is saying to himself, like, I can't deal with the HR issues anymore. This is just, I started the company, I was enjoying the sales thing, and now I'm been brought back into just operational tasks, and I have to deal with all these drama coming in and out of the office all the time, and I just want to get out of that. So I would say the difference between being burnt out and ready to go is, are you choosing to go? That's a different decision. You probably have something after that you're really looking at doing, or is there pressure from the outside that somebody's saying, whether it's a broker or whether it's people around you that said, you got to realize your dream right now, but you got to realize the price right now, because opportunity is going to go away, or you're in a financial issue, or you're being pressured by burnout, etc., that you got to go. So the difference really is, if you're really thinking about what you're going to do, it's probably not burnout. It's probably a good idea. If it's burnout, you're probably going to have this relationship issue with kind of like a teeter-totter, if you want to look at it. On one side, you have this issue of things you like when you started, and there's always stuff in every business that you don't really like. And then at a certain point, it starts to tip the other way, where you don't like, but if you leave, you end up with the issue of you still have stuff you liked, and later you look back at the stuff you still liked, even though the negatives at the time you left was a lot higher. So you just try to get back. Anyways.
No, I love that. And, I think one of the things that stand out talking to you and everyone already is you don't, somehow we got this idea that, hey, I'm a business owner and now it's time to sell, and I'm confident in that decision. I'm going to buy a business and I'm confident in that decision. And talking to you all behind the scenes, that's rarely the case, right? And that's what sticks out to me. And I'm going to go to Greg here. because, you know, how many people do either they're buying a new business, Greg, or right, John's helping them exit and they're looking for chapter 2. They know a little bit of what they don't want. They know a whole lot the hell of what they don't want, right? They know a little bit about what they do want. But a lot of folks are just confused, right? Maybe it was 20 years ago, right? Now they have kids. Maybe they, lots of other factors, empty nesters. So on that note, what is your vantage point when it comes to, you know, how an owner knows the difference between just being exhausted and when it's time to sell and even start another business?
Well, what I do is when I start getting tired of it, I try to think about what part of it, as John was saying, what aspect of it is the tiring part that you don't really like doing. Right. And if that's the case, then you're probably utilizing, like I indicated before, a skill set that you really don't like to use. You know, are you tired of doing the books? Are you tired of doing the employee stuff? Well, find somebody else to do it. You know, I found that in my business that I did everything to begin with, and then I figured out pretty quick what I like and what I don't like. And I just stick with the things I like doing. So I just talk with people all day long. The books, the lead generation, all that kind of stuff that will burn me out real quick. It's amazing how many different people you can find out there that not only do it a whole lot better than I do, but they really enjoy it to do that. So when you go into a business to begin with, in order to do that, you have to make sure you're pretty well funded to begin with, because eventually you're going to be outsourcing that work to somebody else. So make certain that to begin with that you're well funded, because if you go in there and you're not well funded and you end up being the one that has to do it all, you'll find real quick that some of the things that aren't quite that much fun, you really need to hire somebody to do. So make sure you're well funded. Make sure that what you're looking at, that you getting the burnout is from the things that is not your skill set, and find somebody else to do it.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to John, and then I want Tiffany's, because Tiffany works with everyone everywhere, so she can speak from multiple lenses. But John, on that note, what Greg just said, you know, it's I love that. Write a list of what you don't want, right? If you're selling and you're going to be profitable, right now, you can probably afford the luxury of doing a little bit better. You're wiser. You know what you don't want. But on that note, there's 3 categories, if you share these, that we talked about with you and I and Greg the other day. Those 3 categories, those mindsets, how you lead. And this is going to set Greg up, because franchising isn't for everyone, right? And neither is bootstrapping and creating stuff like I do, right? Visionary. So share that so we can go to Tiffany and Greg, because there's people are buying stuff without understanding. It's like giving me a paintbrush. You know, I'm just not an artist, right? So buying a franchise for some people wouldn't be the smartest move. So share those with us.
So you're talking about the type of business owners and the simplicity of the 3.
Yeah, the visionary and the manager, and yeah.
So a few years ago, I was doing with another consultant at the Denver Business Journal. We were doing this whole group with a whole bunch of business owners, and essentially we broke it down into 3 categories of business owners to keep it simple. And first one is your missing the words, your manager type of business owner, the type that basically likes to manage things, doesn't really want to handle itself, right? Like the other group would be like a technician, like a plumber that goes into the business but still wants to do the plumbing himself, or you know, the old back in the day, build your shoes, right? Or electrician, or you even like financial planners and wealth management, like lawyers that want to just keep doing the work, but they want to have a business and they don't want to have a boss, so they just have clients as their boss. And then you have the visionary. And that's the person that, you know, is coming up with a lot of ideas and constantly thinking about, like, how do I want this new way of going about stuff? And you see them in, you know, getting into VC support and taking off their business with their new idea and their new concept. And they typically need a lot of support behind them because they're more idea people. And so they don't really fit well into the franchise model of management. They don't really, you know, and the technician guys, you'll see them generally scale up into 20 some employees, and then all of a sudden, next before you know it, they're back down to 5 employees. They just don't like the management aspect of stuff, but they need, you know, some employees to generate the revenue they want to generate. So those are the kind of 3 categories.
Right. And Tiffany, I want to go to you, but Greg, real quick, managers and owners, right? So visionaries like me that like to create something out of nothing and not be told what to do. Like if I had a McDonald's franchise and I put an egg roll on there, I'm in trouble, right? Like it's not going to work out too good. They don't like you innovating. So on that note, when somebody's either starting a new business or could be first time, but in this case, they're looking for chapter 2 or 3. How important is this? And that's what you do for people, right? You help them figure this out, not just from the financial and logistical point, but the inner peace. You don't want to sign up for 10 years of hell like you get the wrong stuff. So what is your insight here?
I would say that figure that out pretty quick of what aspect of if you're looking into franchise, what aspect of franchising do you find the most appealing to you? What is it about the franchise model that it is? If you are just, somebody like a visionary, somebody doesn't want to do a lot of work, doesn't want to be involved, then you need to look for something where you're hiring people to do everything, that you're not doing really anything. You're just overseeing the manager and overseeing the operations. That would be the easiest thing to do especially if you're a visionary type thing. Although, like John said, a visionary is probably not real good for necessarily a franchise owner. They'd be more for turning a business into a franchise and having a vision of growing it or something like that. You wouldn't want to just walk into a franchise where somebody is saying, okay, this is the playbook, follow the playbook. Yeah. If you're a visionary, you're not following a playbook. You're creating a playbook.
Greg, you're going to get in trouble. Now we're going to have Hounds of Business franchises. Oh my God.
There you go.
Going. There you go. But go ahead.
Really, what I ask people, one of the questions is, what do you see a franchise doing for you? Why? What is your why? What are you looking to get into? What are you looking out of it? Why is it a franchise so appealing? And we want to make certain that they have a good idea of what they're getting themselves into, because I'm not going to put them into something if they come up with some of the wrong answers, like John was saying, that they're thinking about, they're true entrepreneur and they're thinking about, I would like to get into a franchise and find out what they're doing and help them improve on it. Well, yeah, probably not. If you've been in the business, after you've been in the franchise for, a couple of years, yeah, maybe. But at first, no. So we really got to find out what it is that about that franchise is appealing and how does it fit you, basically.
Yeah, and to the point, because this is very important. And I know people say it, but you guys actually take the time to do it because it is. You don't want to do a business that you're going to dread or hate or, and a lot of times, most of the time, knowing you guys, especially you, Greg, it's preventable, right? Like it's just either people aren't helping or people aren't asking the questions or the professional isn't thinking to ask the question for them. So Tiffany, you're around all kind of high performers. You're around operators, visionaries. Here's the question for you, because you come from a multifaceted arena. Is the exhaustion from the business, right? So owners and operators, people who are doing it, all kind of businesses, are they exhausted from the business, or is it the way they're operating inside of it? Or is it kind of a combo, or depends?
This is where I think I appreciate understanding people's personality styles. I would probably send you out for a bunch of little personality quizzes and be like, what do you want to do? What are you good at? Where do you find yourself? Like I am filled with the world's biggest dread when it comes to bookkeeping and giving stuff to my CPA. Like bad words, right? Like, so the things that are causing you to be drained, could be different for everyone, and to find out where you lie. Like, I think what's funny is if you put somebody that's ready to start a new chapter in a room with John, Greg, and me, they're going to help you figure out, should I merge? Should I exit what I'm doing right now? But also, where am I at? So Greg can figure out what that franchise looks like. And I'm the visionary to be like, yes, and here's how we're going to do it creatively, because I don't want you to use your own money, right? And so it's like, we're like the perfect trifecta to get anybody that's listening to any of this in any way, shape, or form forward movement with anywhere that they are at for this. So what I'm thinking is, whenever someone came to me and they said, Tiff, I bet, they didn't even say, are you? They said, I bet you're a burnt out landlord. And I was like, huh, defend. And I'm just going to tell you right now that they had to prove it to me mathematically as an engineer. because that's the way I think. I can turn on and off my analytical thinking, but they said, why are you trying so hard to get what you get? Is it just for the number? Is it just for the rate of return? Do you absolutely love your tenants? Do you love those late night calls at 5 o'clock in the South when the hood AC was stolen? Like, was it worth it? And I was like, well, this is my return. And he's like, you could get that return here doing this, 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 this. So if you're really just in it for the money, then you let your analytical brain pick a different path. And so I think depending on the way that you look at it, it's going to be different angles for everybody. But quite honestly, surrounding yourself with the right people who you can be honest with, and those are going to be other entrepreneurs, other business owners, not your employees, not your W-2 spouse, not your W-2 friends. Like, I cannot go to my teacher and school nurse friend to ask them anything about woe is me in my business, right? I need to go to other people that are experiencing it or have exited or have created multiple companies to figure out, like, where did you, or what was that, or where am I at, or am I really burnt out, to figure that out. And really just, like I said, ask yourself that question, like, what do I dread, right? What's breaking you? Where is it? Is it the late night? No, I love late night, right? Is it the weird phone calls? Oh, I don't mind those, right? Is it like the daunting this or whatever? So it's going to be different for everybody, but it's maybe even creating a tally sheet to figure that out, to identify. And then you're surrounding yourself with the safe people in your life that are other business owners or soon to be or exiting people that can avoid the pitfalls the next time when you're ready to go, or get out properly. Because, like, I didn't know what I didn't know until I had enough M&A people in my life to realize that you need to start planning your exit before you start planning the entrance of it. It's just so wise.
I didn't know that. And if you kind of stumble upon a business like I did, or 3 of them, then once you realize, oh my gosh, I'm in business, then go talk to Greg and John, like, because you do. And we're not going to get into this, but what I hear all 3 of you saying is find clarity first, inner clarity first. Then you move forward to your balance sheet, cash flow, all that good stuff. But seriously, don't go into something like you said earlier. I love it, Tiffany. Hey, you can make just as much money being happy if you did that. Like, light bulb moment, right, Greg? So get the inner clarity. And on that note, I'm going to pivot because you brought up a good point, Tiffany. Sometimes, and we could go on and on about identity too, but folks, if you're trying to figure it out, go talk to these folks. These are high-level consultants and guides, not trying to just sell stuff. That's why they're here, because I love them. They do have people's best interests. So on that note that Tiffany brought up, John, when is restructuring smarter than exiting? And a lot of people come to you all frazzled and wanting to sell, and they think that's the default. And then you get into a combo and say, man, maybe restructuring or some other option is better. Elaborate on it.
Yeah, that's always a good question to be asking on the restructuring standpoint. And that is, do you have energy to keep going forward? Because if you're in that point of thinking about restructuring and exiting, it's probably because you've got something going on in the business that's causing you a lot of pain. And so sometimes business owners, when you start growing, your customers want you to do everything because they start trusting you, right? So you start taking on, and your scope starts creeping, and you see this where they end up with multiple different avenues in their business. And so they start just saying, a problem gets up, and I've been in that seat as an employee before, and the owner's just saying, get it done. And I'd be like, no, we need to set something up to overcome this in order so it doesn't repeat in the future. And it's very easy from a business owner when you're making money and you want to make more money is to have that scope keep creeping away. So you're doing get it done to the point where all you're doing is putting out fires constantly, and you can't grow. But the question at that point is you start getting burnt out. And so the restructuring question really is, do you have another 5-6 years to put more energy in this? Because you're going to have to do a couple of things, generally in my experience. And that is, you're going to have to start coming back on some of the stuff you're doing in order to free up some time, and also bring some more expenses into the situation in order to restructure and relook at stuff. But at some point, the business owner is saying, I just don't have enough energy to go through a restructuring to grow to the next level. Then maybe exiting is your better option. But I still said, well, you don't necessarily need to exit. Maybe you just need to slowly, come back to something that's more comfortable for you. I'm really about the ideal of in fact, I was texting a guy out today on LinkedIn saying, hey, a business is pretty much whatever you want it to be. I'm a very big believer. If you want a lifestyle business or if you want to grow a big business, all are okay. It's just a matter of what you want to put in place to actually make both happen so that it fits you. I really believe the business is a tool for the business owner and not the other way around where you're a slave to the business or somebody's idea about, where you should exit and how you should do that. So I would say that, based on that, restructuring is a lot about energy and whether you want to take the next step and go beyond. Because there's some business owners that get just to that point, they're in their 60s and they're saying, I just don't have enough juice to go beyond. So then we look for a partner that would come in and actually, help them go to that next level. Maybe they can stay on board part way, or they just totally want to go do something other.
Right. Are you riding the horse or is it riding you? That's my uneloquent way of putting that, because we don't talk about it enough. It's almost like a shame thing, like, oh, I'm not good enough. But a lot of people hit that wall, right? We do. We're like, we're just tired. We're over it. We don't know what way's up. And we just kind of go and do it on our own. And then we create more trouble. And that's why we're doing this show, right? Because my gosh, you shouldn't do it alone, right? It's like trying to go on WebMD and diagnose yourself when you're sick. Don't do that. Like we know what it's going to say. It's always cancer or death. Like, you go talk to professionals. That's why I love this show. So, Tiffany, if you have anything to add on that, go ahead. But I've got a question for you. So you want to add, or do you want me to just go for
No, go for the question, because he said it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to mess it up either. So what financial mistake do owners make when they assume I should just sell? And they just go because that's what somebody told them.
Oh, my goodness. Luckily, I've had enough interviews with enough people to hear out what this answer is. And they think it's ready to go and their baby is perfect, right? Like they don't understand that they are currently irreplaceable. So when they leave, it falls apart. And that can't happen because that means you don't have a business ready to sell. Like, go take a vacation. Everyone in here in business right now, go take a vacation and see if your business can continue to thrive without you, and then understand all the things that need to be years in place when we talk about money, when we talk about the sale, when we talk about where this could be housed, like a 6-month bare minimum leeway for us to even put this in a proper trust so that you aren't taxed to death. Like, we could talk about so many things that are so very wrong that when you get to a point where you have to sell due to a health reason, it's too late. It's too late. You're so many stories I'm sure John and Greg could tell. I only know them from second, and they know them from firsthand from all of their clients, right? And it's just mind-blowing to think. And they probably have a PDF that's 8 pages long in tube font, letting you know all the things and the reasons why. But it's because you think it's perfect, right? Or you're blind to it. You just don't even know what you don't even know for what those buyers are looking at. And if someone's ready to go to buy your business in the condition that it's in the first place. So, yeah,
Woo.
That's a good question.
I hope we just didn't lose like 800 viewers, because this thing can be overwhelming. And
It can be.
There's so many factors. It's like taking 10,000 jigsaw puzzles and throwing it all over the floor and saying, good luck. And this is why people we want to simplify, right, John? Like it's so confusing. We got internal, external. Greg sees it every day, right? I like to start a business. Oh my goodness. And then when you start, asking all these questions, like, I don't know. Like, and this is why you guys remind me of like part-time therapists in a way, right? Like Cesar Millan for business owners, because you guys, all three of you are so you're so well versed with understanding, right? You've done a lot of this yourself. You've been in the game for so long. And here's what I'm going to tell people watching. You can't be embarrassed around these people. You can't. Like, there's nothing. It's like you're a proctologist, folks. There's nothing you can say that they're going to go, oh my God, you're the worst business owner ever. Right? Because I did. I had an accountant and a friend of mine, and she dug in there, and I was embarrassed, y'all. Like years ago, I'm like, I don't want to see this. I buried my head in the sand. And a lot of people do that. It's human nature. So what we're telling you.
Perfect business.
Thank you, John. Go ahead.
There's no perfect business. Everyone has its flaws.
Yeah.
And it's just a graduation of flaws, right? The things that you overlook, you don't overlook. That's all it is.
Yeah.
No shame. You should actually be congratulated for the fact that you actually have a business that could be sold. Just to be there, 10 years, you look at the odds after 10 years just being around, or 20 years being around, you're in a high small category. So quit worrying about all the flaws. Anybody can come in and help you fix those things.
Oh, but also don't even forget the fact of some of these elder, what do you call them, 67-year-olds that have a good business and they think, I just got to close my doors tomorrow. I'm ready to retire. You can't sell. Like, please don't close the business down. So there's like people that don't even know they could sell, or they could sell tomorrow, but people that are just, I'll close the business down because I'm retiring. Like, sell that sucker. Someone wants it.
But there was one thing, Tiffany, I found that worries some business owners. Why they do that is that they're afraid when they actually transfer it to another owner, it's going to actually cause, they're going to embarrass the business to everybody in the community, right? Or they're going to cause issues with the employees or clients, and not have the same flow that they gave to the business. But they don't realize also, it's not just about, the ownership of the company. It's about the economics of the community. So many people visit a certain business, and it's just like example, if I have a couple seconds here to give you an example. I had a guy, an accountant, call me about a printing company, and said, can you help him fix it to sell it? And then 2 weeks later, I didn't hear anything back from the accountant until 2 weeks later. He said, the guy's already closed the door. But what I realized from the printing company, and he just laid off his employees, was if you put yourself in the position of a customer, there is a print shop you always go to. You like everybody there. You have a good relationship because it was established like 26 years. And so you have like a 2-flyer thing that you want to go down and take care of. Well, you just hop in your car and you go down there, but you drive down there and you see it's closed. Instead of looking for a competitor to go do it, you start weighing whether or not, is this really that big of a deal? Do I really want to go, find another competitor to figure it out? And you say no, and you just go back home, or you do your shopping and go back home. The economics, once one company goes out, there's a lot of revenue that's lost in that community, and as well as the issues of employees that now have to go figure out another. Sometimes they have to even move to another location. So it gets much bigger. Why, from my standpoint, why I feel so, about this issue about business sustain has to do a lot with, it's not just about the business. It's not just about the business owner. It's about the whole community and the livelihood and the trickle down aspect of everything about the business and what it does and doesn't do. It takes a business from startup to get that trust built up, years from something that was 26 established already, right? So an ownership change keeps that continuity going, where if it has to create something new, everybody's suspicious about who is this? Are they going to be as good? They're going to, you go down that route.
Great point.
That's what struck me about John. He thought about macro as well as micro. Oh man, we could do a whole panel on that. Just the stories and how the ripple effect is negative or positive, and perception and all that good stuff. So Greg, we're going to blow this up with you, buddy. And if you have something you want to add to that, go ahead. But I've got a whole bunch for you. You ready?
Ready. Fire away, Mike.
Fire it away. Here we come. I seen me and you do finger guns at the same time just a minute ago so that was a good point. If you see that, we're ready to go. All right. So let me go this way, because we touched a little bit on this. So I'm going to get into this before the financial side of it. Who should never own or buy a franchise or structured ownership model? I think we should recap this a little bit, because there are people like, or does it depend on the franchise model? What's the most general stuff you see that people should be aware of?
The most general stuff that I see, Mike, is when I ask people, or when they ask me sometimes, you think I could be a good franchisee? And I say, one, you got to be somewhat risk tolerance. It's a business, even a franchise. There's going to be some risk involved. You got to have some risk tolerance. We reduce the risk with a franchise, and a franchise that's been around for years and years, but there's still a risk.
Yep.
You have to be a self-starter. Franchise is going to give you the entire playbook. You'll never be guessing what to do next. However, the franchise is not going to call you up in the morning and say, Mike, it's time to get up and do. You got to do
Right.
that yourself. You've got to be able to follow a process and procedures, because that's what it's all about, systems. And you have to be mentored, because that's what a franchise is all about, is you being mentored. So somebody's going to be over there helping you, guiding you, giving you the process, but you've got to be able to do that. If you can follow those processes and procedures, if you can be mentored, if you've got the risk tolerance, and if you are a self-starter, then your chances of success are that much greater.
You said something that made me think of something funny. One day I drove by. I used to get sandwich. I'm not going to say it, even though I don't think I'll get in trouble. There was a hamburger place I love to go to in the morning, and this one day randomly, nobody was there. No sign, no clothes, nothing. It was just yeah, like 10 o'clock, and I did yeah. So I'm like, you're right when you said, hey, they're not going to call you and say wake up. Maybe they should have that day. I don't know, but yeah, you have to be like on point, right? You can't just. And honestly, I mean, it's funny because if you're an entrepreneur where you don't have a contract, you're going to be like, if you can't pay the electric bill, maybe that's your motivation to get up. Like if you're not in a franchise. But yeah, I don't know if the Burger King watches this show. I love you, man. Don't get mad. But let me ask you this. I want you to touch on this before we go to financial, because this really hit home to me. If folks don't have wise guidance, right? If they don't have someone that they can rely on to help them in their best interest and do all these things, sort through it, right? Because you can Google sell a business. Good Lord, 8 billion pages will go up on AI. And you guys help sort through 8 billion pages and say, okay, start here. This is how you work through it, right? So on that note, when people do things without proper planning, proper guidance, you mentioned that litigation can go on, and it costs a fortune to do that, Greg. So not to harp on, we're not fear mongering, but we don't want people to lose all their money because they didn't ask. What is the number one thing or couple things that folks should do to avoid those kind of situations? We already talked about being unhappy. Now we're talking about getting locked up in legal issues because we didn't plan well. So what do you advise?
Well, when you're going through the franchise investigation process, I've got a whole process that I take people through. A whole due diligence usually takes 2 or 3 months. There's some certain aspects to that, because every year I get 1 or 2 people that'll come to me that I have not worked with. Keep in mind, I have not worked with these folks. But they come to me and they say, I need an attorney. I said, oh, you're going to get into a franchise? No, I want to get out of one. I'm like, okay. So I've got attorneys, so I'll help them with that. But I just asked them, I said, so what was your due diligence process like? What happened there? And invariably, they missed a step or two. Talking with as many franchisees as possible, we get a good, clear view of the franchise system itself and whether or not you can picture yourself doing that, and making sure you're well funded on that. The people that have gone into it a couple of times, they just basically ran out of money as they were trying to get it built up.
Yeah,
because if they would have spoken with enough of them and asked them, one of the questions that I have people ask the franchisees as they're going through the process is, were there any surprises when you started opening the doors? And you'll get that sometimes. Sometimes in certain circumstances, there's some added expense in there that they didn't plan for, so they weren't capitalized enough to take care of that. But you've got to make certain that you go through the due diligence process pretty thoroughly, and have a franchise attorney look over all of your paperwork before you sign anything. A franchise attorney will find things that are out of place. You can't have just any old attorney do it. You can't have your brother or Joe do it because he's a litigation attorney or something. Because franchise attorneys specifically know what can and can't be adjusted on the franchise agreements themselves, and what is out of place, what's unusual. But I've sent people over to franchise attorneys where they save money quite often on it. Because there was something out of place in the franchise agreement. And then what ended up happening is that franchise said, you're right, that's not quite right, let's change that. And invariably they changed it. So that's why we do that. Always go through that due diligence process thoroughly. And you want to make certain that when you're doing that, in order to avoid litigation, is that franchisor, they should be interviewing you just as much as you are interviewing them. Because you want to make certain that they're not trying to sell you something. If you get the feeling they're trying to sell you something, especially early on, that's a red flag. You kind of want to step back and step away from that. You want to make certain that franchisor is there to make certain that you're a good fit for their organization. Just like them, finding an employee or something that wants to come in. You want to make sure it's a good cultural fit. So you want that franchisor to make certain that you are a good fit into that entire organization. On that, I will say though that at the very end, after you're going through the process, if they look at you and they're thinking this person's going to knock it out of the park, you'll probably get a little bit of sales there at the very end, because they're just like, we want you because we know you're going to kill it in this business. So you might get a little bit of sales at the end there, but at the very beginning, the first 4 to 6 weeks, it should all be just interviewing back and forth, information gathering.
Good. So, I mean, be the tortoise, not the hare. That's what I hear. And here's the simple, right? If you're looking, you have a successful business, don't wait till you're done. Don't wait till you think about, maybe I want to exit. Go get it done, right? Talk to John Hamill, right? You get it going. And then when you hand off, you get the right, because a lot of folks are getting next level business. They're sell one, but they want it different. Like Greg said, maybe they want to part-time it. Maybe they would just want a franchise. They can hire a manager at a restaurant, right? Whatever it may be. I have clients I've sent to Greg, financial clients, right? They have their main business, but a lot of folks make too much money and they're like, I just don't want to pay in taxes. What else can I do, right? And so it's a good diversification tool to go hire a manager, do a passive income, B&B or whatever, right? So there's a lot of options. And does anybody want to chime in before I move on?
As far as litigation goes and preventing that?
Yeah, just prevention. If you have any preventative tips at all, like it doesn't have to be litigation, but just anything's like, oh, by the way, look out for that. Don't step in that pile of whatever, right? Go ahead.
I think it's important to state what consultants are really for, and that is really speed and experience. There is no I should say there is so much information, like you said, Mike. There is so much information out there. The harder part is application of that. What do you sort through? I figured this stuff out working with other people and stuff. I believe every business owner can, but now we're talking about amount of time. What do you have time available, right? And so just like you go to a doctor, could you learn to be a doctor? Yeah, you put yourself years in, but you've got something going on right now. You don't have years to learn that stuff. So consultants are really just there to help you on the speed and in getting there. But going back to the lawsuits and stuff, better preparation early and understanding the whole process, right? I think what business owners may get wrong sometimes is they don't understand the whole process. They're thinking that it's just the sale of the business and they focus on just that. So I'm just gonna leave it to the broker or investment banker to handle that aspect. But when you start looking at the whole process, there's this emotional aspect that comes in. There's an aspect of your personal financial wealth after. What are you going to do after? Estate planning, wealth management, just a number of things you have to get around as the whole process. If once you start to make yourself aware of that years in advance, your knowledge becomes better. You start understanding, and then you understand what you're talking with your attorney and what you're trying to avoid. And then you become more appreciative of the amount of money you're going to spend on helping you work through that process with your attorneys. But you will see a bigger picture, which helps you. Years ago, I sat down with a few litigating attorneys because my biggest question is, after the deal that you do the deals, what do you see from the litigation side that you're now going back to? And the bigger ones that, in fact, one of them told me that his number one thing is to follow deals after, and I hope nobody gets me wrong. There's good people in but generally at lower amounts, business brokers, there's a number of them that will try to keep out the attorneys and accountants because they want to get the deal done. His whole aspect was to follow those business deals and wait till a year because they almost invariably have issues because they didn't actually line things up well with how they were going to go back and forth. And if this happens, that happens, and who's going to take fault for this and that. So there's a lot of assumptions that get made that like, oh yeah, it's all good. And they do it on the paper, back of a napkin type of thing, sign it here, exchange money. And then all of a sudden there's like, well, wait a minute. I just lost 20% of my clients. You just sold me a bill of goods, right? And so I'm going to get you right now with the attorney and you get this war. And of course, some litigating attorneys are like, you are absolutely right. That's horrible. We need to do something. Well, that's an aspect of pre-planning could have been done really well, right? Spending some time making sure you had, say, an experienced M&A attorney to help you through the process of going through it. Thus, you are avoiding a lot of the issues that happen after. Almost invariably, I would say the expectation after you sell is you're going to have clients drop off. You're just going to. Some of them are hanging around just for the fact that they knew Jim and they wanted to go earlier, but they just hung around because they didn't know how to say to Jim, I'm out here, right? So just that aspect in the business is going to happen. The buyer needs to go in and understand there are going to be expected things that are going to happen. Now, how do I deal with it with the price and the closing documents, right? And the purchase agreement. And those things can avoid your expectations down the road where you're not having problems. So that's the way I would avoid litigation. Just think early, understand the process so you're not surprised, you're setting the right expectations, and then you'll have a lot less problems later.
Absolutely. I saw Tiffany wake up. Tiffany, come on, don't be shy. What do you
I have the world's most perfect phrase for this, and I've used it for the last 22 years of finally at 22 becoming a real estate investor. And that's watching people do this with just like a LegalZoom LLC and no attorneys and getting all this done and not having a landlord that's properly doing everything with contracts is you are going to pay for it. What does that mean, Tiff? You're going to pay for the cost of ignorance, or you're going to pay for the cost of education. The cost of your ignorance is your time, is you getting sued, is your paperwork being wrong and you can't get out, or the cost of your education is going to be an expert at the beginning to save you, what's that system? Saves you time, stress, energy, and I forget what the M is, money, right? Saves you all of that. Pay for it one way or pay for it the other way. Just figure out which one you want.
Okay, so before we go to the last question, Tiffany, I'll let you start it off. Folks, chime in. What financial realities? Because we touched on a lot, and John brought them up, and so did you. What financial realities do owners ignore when dreaming about that next chapter or starting that business?
All of them. No, wildly underestimating how much everything costs right now. Employees, insurance. Like I'm in the state of California. There's extra, right? Like companies are mass fleeing because they don't want to pay what it takes to run a legitimate business here. Your cash flow. Are you going to pay yourself properly? Are you going to improperly pay other people? Also, the number one most worst thing that I could ask for everybody to pay attention to is do not mix your business with your personal.
Yo.
Don't commingle funds. Do not open your own business up.
I never did that, Tiffany.
I've done it. That's why I'm telling you not to do it. Do as I say, not as I do. Like this was a brand new rookie mistake that you make in your 20s, right? Not when you're seasoned, you've read enough books, read enough internet, and you have enough fantastic people that you can hire. And the hidden costs are going to be, like I said, surrounding yourself with the people who have been there, done that, so that you can figure out what those are going to be. But also, like I said, you're going to pay for it. If you don't want to pay for the cost of ignorance of starting your own business, that's when you jump into a franchise, right? Like someone's been there, done that, proven a system. You can get an expected rate of return with an expected exchange of amount of time, or being able to merge. So you have a little baby company, you want to merge with a bigger company. You have an expected result of what that is. So it's just a matter of, and with AI nowadays, you could use them as a darn counselor. Like, what do I not know? Right? You can ask them the silliest questions, and being able to source this is easier than ever, but it's impressive that people aren't even willing to Google this, right? Like people that are even making it through this entire call and listening to it, whether it be live right now or later, they're smarter than the average bear because they've already sought out this information. People that aren't even going to bother watching this, and they're going to go start some sort of willy-nilly business all the wrong ways.
Yeah. And don't do like I did, which was just accidentally start a willy-nilly business and mess it up in all the wrong ways. I mean, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that's why we do this. If I drove off the cliff 18 times, I don't want you to do it. So you're going to get a bunch of these now. Look, like Shooter McGavin. Wow, you just fired them up. All right. Look, Greg's got you too. Bang, bang. All right. So let's go this way. Unless, Greg, you got something to add. I'll tell you what Greg should add. Call Greg before you make all these mistakes. That's what you should do.
He's just amazing to talk to in the first place. So, man, just realness, I think age, like I would rather talk to a few people with a little bit of gray hair in any of this before I know you guys can't even see mine. It's hidden. But like, there's just wisdom in being around long enough to see what maybe you did or see what a friend did or what, someone else did that you could avoid. in any of this.
It's huge.
Well, talking to you guys it's not like going to the doctor. It's really a fun conversation. You have planning, you're covering the bases, and folks out there, don't be embarrassed. Don't bury your head in the sand. Oh, I look stupid, or come on, just go to the professional, have a chat, and make plans. Do it wise. Have fun through the process, right, Greg? So, Greg,
always got to have fun.
Oh, you like dogs, and we are the hounds. I mean, come on, you get bonus points, right? So, all right, let's close with this, folks. Main question I want to leave people away with: if somebody knows they're entering a transition season, what's the first move they should make this week? Greg? They're either going to start a business. I think he froze. I hope he froze. He did.
Sorry, run that by me one more time. I missed it.
You froze. I thought you did a mom impression. I was like, wow, that's impressive. You should start a franchise. So if somebody knows that they're going to enter a transition period, right? They may want to restructure, sell, buy something. They're going to start a new business. From your vantage point, what's the first move they should make if they're thinking about exiting to buy or just buy a business?
Well, like John said, if they're thinking about exiting to buy, they got to think about what are they doing next. Because if you've been doing something your entire life and then all of a sudden you've got nothing to do, that will probably drive you nuts. Because what do you do at the time? You better have a hobby if you're going to exit. You better have already planned out. You're just looking forward to doing that hobby for the rest of your life. And you've got the sale of the business took care of all the funds you're ever going to need ever again. And you've already planned out your entire, until you get to 100 years old, that you're going to have enough money to do that hobby, whatever it is. If you're thinking about buying a business, and probably start one. And if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, and buying a business that way, learn about it, study it up, grab books on the subject. There are plenty of books out there on franchising that you can get into, on entrepreneurship. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's one of the books I like. That was a good one. But learn about whatever it is that you want to do, whatever business you want to get into. I put a lot of people into franchising industries that they had no knowledge of whatsoever before they went into it, but it just sounded fascinating to them. And we taught them about the industry as we're going through it. Now, we usually do that with 2 or 3 industries with each person so that they check out different things. And invariably, they'll say, that sounded like a good industry to begin with, but as I learned about it, it's not so good after all. I think I'm going to try this one and not this one. So learn about it. Get books on the subject. If you want to be an entrepreneur, plenty of books out there. Read up on it first. Learn what it's like. Watch YouTube things and get some of the good and the bad and the so out there and just fill your head with knowledge. Definitely.
Well, Greg, I think you almost got it right. I'm gonna have to readjust a little bit. First, you need to go to the franchise maven and go get all that good information that he's got piles of it. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna brag on you. You're a modest man, but you're a top level expert. I've sent you to countless people and they're all happy, right? Not because they all got a magic wand, because they all got what they needed. They got clarity, guidance, and avoided litigation and angry family members, all kind of stuff. So I've seen it. So Franchise Maven, is that the best place for them to go to learn more, to contact you if they're looking to start a business or even thinking about it?
Yeah, go to.
Is it the Franchise Maven?
Go to my website there.
Or is it franchise?
Nope, just franchisemaven.com.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have shows and all kind of stuff. So there's all kind of material. Greg's got a bunch. So go. You got a book, right?
I think I got a book around here somewhere.
Oh man, where's my autographed copy, Greg? Oh my God.
Send me your address. See that?
Hey.
Wall Street Journal bestseller right there.
See? Hey, walk softly, carry a big stick. You are a super pro. You get people, and man, love having you in the hounds. Love all you do for people. So folks, if you're even thinking about it, go talk to the guy. Go talk to Greg, have a chat, go from there, right? And John, same with you, my friend. If somebody is in that transition, right? They're not sure. What they're like, I need a transition, but I have no. What's the first move they should make this week, other than talk to you and then tell them how to find you?
I think it might surprise you, but I would recommend that they start talking to their spouse or a good friend, and maybe even a trusted advisor, because oftentimes they're not communicating, this. It's a hard emotional thing. If you've been in a successful business, maybe you have 100 employees, maybe you have more, and all their livelihoods are dependent on what you're doing. And if you're feeling a lot of weight behind you from, if I do this, how is it going to impact all of these things? Sometimes they have, members and children in the business, right? And they have hard decisions that they can't take over ownership, and they got to sell it or do something different with it. But they got to start talking to their spouse if they haven't already. Likely they have, but maybe somebody else that can say, let's use that name again, Jim. Hey, Jim, do you really, really want to sell? Is this really fitting in with what you want to do in life? I'm really much more about, is this what you want to do in your life, to make that next move? What are you going to do next? And really hitting some questions when they can hit back and forth to see really whether it's the issue of they really want the next chapter, what they're going to do. And really trusted people, just talking about that gets the process going where you can actually get comfortable and kind of a collective say, yeah, we want to do that. Now we can go into the aspect of, let's start looking at what that means, in more detail. But I think the initial thing is really just having those conversations, because they hold it in so much. Yeah. You can't talk to your employees about this. You can't talk to, a competitor about this. It's really it's a very sensitive issue. So I would say just the conversations, open up.
And that's what I love about these kind of collaborations, right? You could just pick Greg, and if that's not Greg's lane, Greg's going to send you to somebody like John, and John will do the same, right? And Tiffany goes, hey, and this is where the trust factor goes in, right, Greg? Right? Because it's like, well, it's like grass. There's franchise stuff everywhere. There's exit people everywhere. But there's only one Greg Moore, John Hamill, and Tiffany Alexander. See, I know we can trust you guys. You're going to do the right thing, and that's important. Gosh, people's livelihoods are on the line. Sometimes their 401k, everything they have, and they're doing this for their quality of life and their kids and their well-being and legacy. And the last thing we need to see is people not getting what they need to be successful. And then they blame themselves. I've seen this. So thank you all for what you do. Tiffany, all right, you came in with a different lens. So tell the folks what it is that you're doing now that you want them to know and where to go, because you have a different spin. And take it away, my friend.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm working on a bunch of now no longer government, now available for civilian AI level stuff for people.
Oh,
so it's like anything that you wished you could have built for you that you're like, God, there's got to be a guy. I know it's out there somewhere. You just didn't know who it was yet. And now you do through me. That's it.
Awesome. Well, you all have been absolutely amazing. I appreciate this. There's going to be a lot of restream. And yes, I got a couple texts. People couldn't comment, but a lot did. Thank you all for showing up. And I will see you all backstage. Thank you, folks. Reach out to these all-stars. They're as heart-centered as they are high level. And I'm not going to go on, but I do want to make sure that you guys get this, okay? That's it. I want to leave you with this, all right? You don't need no more noise. You need clarity, especially in this arena. But if tonight helped you think cleaner and clearer, just DM me. That's it. But we'll have a conversation. We'll talk about what you need, what you're looking for, who can bring value, right? What room or introductions could help you get unstuck or figure out the next level. No sales pitch needed. Right room. So this is how we build trust first and trust always, everyone. Appreciate you, John, Greg, Tiffany, April. Thank you for running the backstage, my friend. Go to Bali, everybody. That's what you need to recharge and you need to learn. Appreciate our sponsors, Mr. Greg Moore, the franchise maven, Beverly Neal Clinton, and a shout out to Bruce Silverman for helping us elevate the media side of our mission to help folks really build that impact and legacy, not just their business. So we'll see you next time. Oh, and if you haven't caught it, shameless plug. Hey, I'm going to do it because this is helpful. This is entertaining as well as educational. We have a brand new podcast, all right, the Redneck Connector podcast, and we're talking about practicality, right? Get your mind right, learn tactics that feel like you. I don't know about you all, but I've been told to meow to be successful, and I'm a dog. I don't know if you've seen a dog meow before. It's probably weird. So if you're out there trying to build relationships and go, well, I don't know how to do this. How do I do this as the same person 24/7? And we're talking real world stuff. This is real stuff in real time. We've got folks like Kevin Smith, D. Scott Smith. We have really high level heart-centered guests coming on. So share this with folks. plug in, learn, and then use this. Okay. And if any of this resonated, send me a DM on LinkedIn. Send me a comment. We'll reach out to you folks. So love you guys. Appreciate you so much. And we'll see you on the next one. Me and April Wyatt and Julie Johnson of Integrate. I'll get the words out. Integrate Trauma-Informed Network. We're going to be chopping it up for high achievers, giving out real value and tips of how you can really stay sane and get the upper level advantage internally in this high competitive market and this uncertainty. So we're going to keep stacking it. Y'all have a good day. Thank you all so much. April, I'm not going to hit the buttons and fight you, my friend. Go ahead and close us. Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.